Does it feel like every part of your life is divided? Every scenario, every environment, your church, your school, your work, your friends, left, right, conservative, liberal, religious, secular. It seems you always have to take a side. This is a conversation between a progressive Christian and a conservative atheist who happen to be great friends. Welcome to Living on Common Ground.
Do you think if we met today, we would still be friends?
I don't know, but we're friends now.
A mob is no less a mob because they're with you.
Man, so what? We won a few games. And y'all fools think that's something? Man, that ain't nothing, y'all. And you know what else? We ain't nothing either. Yeah, we came together in camp. Cool. But then we're right back here and the world tells us that they don't want us to be together. We fall apart like we ain't a damn bit of nothing, man.
All right. I'm recording it, even though this is slightly embarrassing.
Yes. Awesome.
So, I firmly believe, man, I've been doing so much thinking lately.
That we went to
so
the
much
moon.
writing. Yeah, I do believe that. But I've been doing so much reading and so much thinking lately, and reflecting that I'm getting to the point right now where I can't even talk because everything I say, well, that's not really what I mean. Do you know what I mean?
Oh. My
Okay.
wife knows what you mean.
Yeah.
Because I do the same thing. It's like, oh, I got to give you the context for this. And
I
then
can't.
that. And then.
Yeah. So, all right. So when I say, like, even just saying I believe something right now.
You want to tell,
I
what
want
do you mean
I want
by...
to talk about free will and beliefs as soon as I say that. But, all right. So I'm firmly committed to creating, spreading kindness.
Why?
I think it's important. And because I think that it's desperately needed. For even if you want to talk in terms of evolutionary biology, I think that kindness is something that we desperately need right now in our culture for the sustainability of our own species. How's that?
Yeah.
All right. So, and I generally think of myself as a very accepting person.
Okay.
But every now and then, I have these moments where I realize I've got a lot of work to do still on myself. And so like this morning, I found myself quoting Marcus Aurelius as I was sitting in the doctor's office in my head.
Yeah.
Because I was sitting there and man, was I being judgmental.
Oh, cool.
It was horrible. And so I had to remind myself of like this idea that that they are the same. They're of the same substance that I am. All of these people, and we just have different understandings. We have different. We're coming at it from different perspectives. We've had different life experiences. We have different expectations of whatever. And even though I may view something as not preferred, it doesn't mean that I then have to behave in a way that demeans me and that doesn't live up to the virtues that I want to attain in my own life. So that was helpful, right? But yeah, I did have this moment. Like there was this person who walked in and she checked in and then she sat down right next to me and proceeded to get her Emery board out and start doing her nails. And I just think that that's not appropriate in public. So anyway.
That's what it was.
What do you mean? What do you mean that's what it was?
Well, when you said you were feeling judgmental?
Oh yeah. Because you can hear that and all I can picture is like the dead thing, and the filings and stuff falling onto the floor. And I'm like, you should be doing that in your bathroom at home. You don't do that in public.
This is great. Oh, it's so great.
It's horrible.
Here's what's great about it for me. So people who are closely related to me, and I have to apologize to them all the time about this, but they know this about me, that I have, I'm exactly like that about anyone who makes sounds while they're eating.
I'm with you.
And
if I know that one of my friends is a open mouth eater, I will intentionally position if we all go out together, I will intentionally position myself in such a way that I don't have to see them or hear them.
Yeah. And see, here's the thing.
Same thing, by the way, with microphones, chewing gum,
oh yeah.
Like Denise knows, we call it morsling. Do you know what I mean by that?
Is that a Lord of the Rings thing?
I don't know, but it's this noise.
Yeah, I can't. Even that, right? Even you doing that right now.
Denise will come up sometimes, like if I'm in the middle of doing, like if I'm writing or whatever, and she'll do it in my ear.
My boys do that. My sons do that.
Yeah,
because they think it's hilarious.
Yeah,
and it is funny.
It's funny, but it's disgusting.
It's funny because it's a completely amoral thing, right? Mm-hmm. It has there's no ethic to it at all.
Not immoral, amoral.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's totally amoral. It's totally non-ethical. Has nothing to do with ethics, morals, being a good person or anything. It is totally an idea. Now, I understand there's the whole, like, people are going to say, oh, that's misophonia. Yes, I've heard of all that. And I understand that that's a thing. But there's also a misophonia. Everything has to have a word.
Okay. Well, then you have to explain the word to me, because I don't know what that means.
Misophonia. It's like the word for people who can't stand certain sounds, who get really upset about certain sounds. It's it's to describe, because everything today is described in psychological terms and whatever,
Yeah.
And so that is like a sensory thing, which I buy. Okay. I buy that. But also, there's an aspect of it where I place a ton of judgment on it too. Where I know now, because I'm 43 and I've been living with this and talking about this and whatever for so long, I know now that I am in the minority. That it is.
Are we?
Yes. Not necessarily in the minority about like not liking the sounds, but the minority of feeling exactly like what you were talking about with the filing the nails. Like there's some sort of feeling of like you were doing a wrong thing. It
feels gross. I was feeling like it was gross.
Okay. So I have absolutely no feeling about somebody filing their nails. In fact,
what if they were sitting there clipping their nails?
Okay. Clipping your nails is a little bit is different for sure.
Okay.
But filing your nails, I have like I would actually kind of like that. I would enjoy it. If some woman was filing her nails, like to me, that is on a spectrum of anywhere from comforting, like a mother, to kind of attractive. Like I like it. It's kind of sexy.
Oh God, not at all.
No, but this is exactly my point. This is exactly my point.
I'm just picturing right now a bunch of people coming into our group on Sunday, and then all of a sudden pulling out nail emery boards and
eating.
I would leave.
And eating.
Yeah, I would, and eating with their mouth open. I'd be like, you all, I'm out.
No, but this is exactly my point, that when somebody is chewing with their mouth open, they are doing nothing wrong.
Correct.
But
that woman this morning was doing nothing wrong.
And that woman this morning was doing nothing wrong.
Absolutely.
But I have a feeling as if they are. If they're chewing with their mouth open, there's an indignation that I get, right? Which is completely unfair to the person who's chewing with their mouth open, because there is no reason to be indignant. It is completely just a manners issue, right? And manners are totally cultural. And yes, they are instinctive cultural things to codify other behaviors, to codify behaviors that are beneficial or non-beneficial. I understand why culture has that, but sometimes it's also simply to denote different classes or even just denote that you're part of our culture and not part of the other culture or whatever, which is fine as well. But my point is there's nothing wrong with it. They're not doing anything wrong.
Right.
And that's the same thing. So I just think that's really interesting that I have absolutely no problem with what you described. That's why I got so excited about it, because I can feel inside me. I recognize what you're talking about and I don't have the feeling for it. But if I think about somebody chewing with their mouth open, then I do.
Yeah. Do you want to know other things that really bug me?
Yeah, I really do.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So and it was all happening this morning in the waiting room. So I had to take my mother-in-law to the eye doctor. She has there's a retinal issue. And all of a sudden, like within days, she started losing sight in one of her eyes.
That sucks. Sorry, Nancy.
Yeah. They think they can, they feel real positive that they may be able to just treat this with injections. So, but anyway, we decided it wouldn't be good for her to drive herself to an eye doctor appointment. And
get that.
And then get dilated. And then, so anyway, okay. None of that matters for the conversation, except that
I'm glad you said it.
But that's how I ended up there. So, and then I had to sit there for an hour and a half and just observe.
Yeah.
And
no, you didn't. You could have gotten on your phone and scrolled social media like a normal person.
I don't have social media. So, and that's mindless. It's much better to sit there and judge people.
What a psycho, just sitting there by yourself.
I got coffee. I walked around a little bit. I looked out the window, and I tried to make people feel uncomfortable.
Good.
No, that's not true. But
fantastic.
All right. So, but like all of these things were hitting. And again, I'm going to take this as an opportunity to improve myself,
which is good. It's always an opportunity.
That's right. Right.
That's one thing I do in the morning. I try to do in the morning is thank God for the opportunities to better myself.
Excellent.
That means all the things that I did wrong, that I failed myself in, those are now opportunities.
Yeah.
Well, the only where I can change.
Yeah, right. The only thing you can do with history is learn from it. You can't.
You can deny it.
I guess you could do that too, right? But you can't go back and fix it.
Yeah, that's true. Not yet.
Or relive it.
Not yet.
You never will be able to. Anyway, so the other one is if I don't mind if you're a smoker. I mind if you're on the other side of the room and I can smell you.
Oh yeah, sure.
Right. That and
I've got a problem there. Also, that's clearly because of my childhood, though.
Yeah, I can smell it. And which is interesting because there was a short period of time where I was a smoker.
I was gonna say it's interesting because you're still a cigar smoker.
I smoke cigars. Yeah. Yeah. But if I'm hanging out at Big Star, and I come home, I do strip down in the garage.
No, I get that.
Yeah, go inside and shower.
Yeah, because you can't stand the stale smell.
I don't want to. Right.
Smoke on you.
And then what makes it worse is if you try to cover it with cologne or perfume.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's something else that bothers me. Another thing that bothers me when you're in public like that and it's all random people is when you decide that the best thing that you can do is talk real loud so that other people will begin to acknowledge you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
how about the thing that just started?
This is so much fun. People are probably listening thinking, oh my God.
How about the thing that just started, I think, like 10, 12 years ago for the first time? I'll never forget the day that I saw it in the airport. It was a woman who was watching something on her phone at full volume with no headphones. The first time that ever, I know it's cliche now, but I'll never forget the first time I texted Krista. I talked about it for like days afterward. I was like, I have just seen the actual harbinger of the destruction of our civilized society. Like I am seeing the sinews of Western civilization come apart here.
Yeah.
Because I just saw this woman watch this thing. And I thought, at first, when she was doing it, I thought that she was on some sort of like, I don't remember how long ago it was, but I thought it was FaceTime. I thought it was some sort of video conference that she was having. And I still thought like, why are you doing that without headphones? And then I realized she's just watching a TV show. Like in full volume.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And now it's just everywhere.
It's so funny because I was sitting on my front porch earlier this week with a friend smoking a cigar.
Yeah.
And this woman went walking by and she had her phone on full volume listening. I would assume listening to a podcast.
Yeah.
And we didn't stop. He just said, earbuds.
Yeah.
Like and then we just kept talking, but I knew exactly what he meant. That's exactly what you're talking about. All right. So all of this to say these are not these other people's problems. It's my problem.
Oh, there's some of them that are a problem.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
It makes me happy
Go ahead.
to think that at the moment. And because we judge people based on our expectations, not theirs.
Sure.
Right. All judgments are based on what my expectations are, not your own expectations.
Yeah, obviously.
And so if we can come to terms with that, maybe I'll be less judgy. I'm trying. I'm working on it. Okay. So here's the thing. This is a segue. What makes it even more ironic is the projects that I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The one that Caroline right now is doing the final edit for me. Mm-hmm. Is the one that I have entitled "Walking on Common Ground." Do you see what I did there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it's so funny because it's talking about being able to overcome differences and be in communion. Thank you, Peter Rollins, for that. But being in communion with people who are different than you. Mm-hmm. And then I sit in an office after I just finished writing that took me better part of a year. And then I'm sitting in the office being all judgy, silently judgy. But
you wouldn't
judgy.
be writing it or considering it if it wasn't something that you wanted to work on for yourself,
So that's something that's going to come out. I created an author page on Amazon.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So you can go into Amazon and type in, it's not the S, but Jeffrey Stresoff.
Okay.
And that's what pulls them up. Because I have a stepbrother and we're both Jeff Stresoff. And so I was trying to sort of differentiate because we spelled the Jeffrey different.
Got it.
Just in case.
Yeah. Just in case he becomes an author also.
Maybe. So that Walking on Common Ground, the other one that I just finished and got published this week. It sounds like all of a sudden I just sat down and wrote all these things in like 3 months. But the fact of the matter is they've all been in. The other one is just a revision of something I actually wrote with Larry Ward 8 years ago, the leadership one. Mm-hmm. And I took what felt like a textbook originally, and I added a parable to it and tried to really turn it into more of give it a narrative flow.
Okay.
So
is that the one I bought that I haven't read yet?
No, that's the third project.
Oh,
and that project actually has led to 2 more projects that I'm working on right now that I'm going to have to stop because I feel like I can't even talk right now without second guessing what I'm saying or not even saying what I believe with much conviction or saying anything with much conviction because I've been spending so much time in my head thinking about things.
Yeah.
But that one is called The Gift of Uncertainty.
Yeah.
And what that one is going back and looking at the history of the early Christian church, the early Christian movement, and the development of Christian theology, and how my basic claim is that built right into our DNA is the ability to engage with culture and to hold our beliefs somewhat loosely. That yes, I believe this, and I try to draw a distinction between certainty and conviction. And that you should have convictions, but you should also then hold them with, but I could be wrong. And then so that then led me to another project that began earlier this year in the spring. And I'm seeing this is where I'm getting like what happened when, but is this one I'm writing right now? Called,
so what would you say is the difference between certainty and conviction?
Conviction.
What do you mean?
To me, where I would delineate is certainty leaves no room for conversation. Conviction is something that I can live by, but I can still be open to the idea that I might be wrong.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So, like for example, all right, a silly one. Let's go back to the conversation we had, how we started this conversation about being judgmental.
I am certain that I am judgmental.
Okay. And when I'm sitting there in that moment judging someone for, let's say you're at a restaurant and someone at the table next to you is eating and they're making a lot of mouth sounds, right? And you believe in that moment that's disgusting and it's wrong, right? Like, how could they do that in public, right?
And they know what they come
Right.
on, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, right. And you get but you may live your life in a certain way that is a conviction of yours if you're going to be in public and you're going to be proper, you're going to learn how to chew with your mouth closed, right? But at the end of the day, what you do realize, where we got around to, you do realize that that's really has a lot to do with your upbringing.
That's a cultural.
It's a cultural
thing.
Yeah, right. And so it's a conviction of yours, but you don't have to demand that everyone align with it. Certainty demands that everyone is in agreement with what I believe. Conviction allows me to live according to what I believe, but knowing that it may not be the ultimate way that everyone should. Does that make sense? All right.
Okay.
And so I think I do. I mean, obviously I get to write about it, and it's not that long. It's only 166 pages. But I think I do a better job of laying it out in 166 pages, and I'm going to here in like a little bit of a conversation. But then real quick, so then that led me to working on this other project that I'm trying to, which is called The Bible I Thought I Knew. And because I introduced this idea in the first one, it's not an idea, it's in there. And I'm not unique in pointing this out and identifying it. The conflict between Paul and James.
Yeah.
Right. And so like when Paul is writing about these horrible people that are coming behind him and trying to undo what he's been teaching.
Yeah.
He's talking about people that were sent by James from Jerusalem.
Yeah.
All right. And then you read the book of Acts and you can see the conflict. The other thing though that happens is that Peter is a great example of what happens when you have two friends that vehemently disagree and you're caught in the middle. And so that's Peter. And so, and we see Peter's opinions begin to change as well as he's exposed to this. And so that's kind of where I head with that. But as I started talking about that, it got me into, well, maybe I should spend some time exploring further how the Bible may not actually be what we've been taught it is, right? Because I myself went from growing up in a Christian home where I really didn't know too much other than what my mom and my grandfather taught me, and going through confirmation and kind of paying attention in middle school, but not really. And then becoming a self-proclaimed agnostic because I could never get to the point where I didn't believe that there was something, to then all of a sudden believing in the Jesus story, and I became, I would describe myself as a fundamentalist, right? Because like all of a sudden, and I just became like, and where I was living at the time, that was what Christianity was for me.
Well, it's hard to come to quote unquote come to a faith and not do it initially, at least as a true believer.
Yeah,
I mean, how else would you do it? You know? Yeah,
and so I mean, I was like, the Bible's very clear about that type of guy, right? And but then I went to seminary, and little cracks began to appear in my
as they do for a lot of people who go to seminary.
Yeah, but when it was because I was taught like inductive Bible study, and I began to learn about the Greek and the Hebrew, and I began to study the cultures, both the ancient Jewish cultures as well as the Greco-Roman cultures. I began to study even like the geography of the area and how the impact that would have. I began to study other religions around, and all of that stuff. And then I realized that I had become my way of approaching Scripture had become an academic reductionism, right? And then I began.
You mean the proper way to look at it?
Sure, absolutely. But then I began to realize that maybe there's a way to not give up the intellectual, but also sort of reconnect with the spiritual. And so I began to look at how is Jesus portrayed in the Gospels as reading the Bible, right? Because I don't think we can say with any, or not reading the Bible, but engaging with the Scriptures. Again, because of the academic reductionism, I can't now with any certainty say that that's what Jesus did. But what I can say with certainty is that's what they taught us in those Gospel stories about Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay. How did Paul engage with the Scriptures?
Yeah.
Paul, for God's sake, Paul calls Jesus, like Paul says, Jesus is the rock that the Israelites got water out of. Okay, that doesn't seem literal to me, right? And so I began to open up myself to maybe it's not a literal reading, and maybe I need to ask more questions. Maybe I need to sort of dig behind the stories and start asking myself questions like, well, what were they thinking? What did they, what were they feeling in those moments? Is there some way that I can see myself in there? Is there any parallels with the culture that I'm living in? And so all of a sudden it began to become alive to me. And then I had this moment where I'm sitting in Jerusalem, and I'm on the temple steps, and I look across and I see, and I'm flipping through Matthew, and I get to the part where Jesus starts talking about how people are like whitewashed tombs. And I look across, I think it's called the Kidron Valley, and I get some of my valleys mixed up. But
they got a lot of them over there.
Yeah, there's several.
They're all valleys and mounts.
Yeah, and wadis.
Deserts.
And so I looked, and there, it's all over the side of the Mount of Olives.
Graffiti.
Tombs.
Oh, okay.
Ancient tombs.
Yeah.
And so I was like, Jesus he's engaged in sort of metaphor and allegory and all this.
Sure.
And one of the things that I also noticed is how infrequent Jesus actually quotes Scripture, but when he does, it's usually to then say, but this, right? And so even when he's not just throwing out Scripture at people. All right. So then, sorry, I'm talking a lot.
No, go ahead.
So then, it wasn't until years later, and I want to be clear on this because I think I was like, I want to make sure that I'm being honest with people, because I also do get my own timelines mixed up.
Yeah.
But I do realize I didn't have the term for what I was starting to engage in until I came across. So then I began to study Midrash. And then it was when I came across Midrash Agada that I realized that actually I had stumbled into a very ancient Jewish practice that set me right in with the New Testament authors. And I felt justified in what I was doing. And I didn't feel like I was an apostate anymore. Now, some people might say, actually, Jeff, you are, because I'm no longer a fundamentalist. Okay.
Yes, but
so,
to be clear, or to be fair, many progressive Christians would consider fundamentalists apostates also.
Oh, yeah, we're going to point fingers at each other.
Yeah, because many progressive Christians would say the Bible is very clear that...
And what I try to get away from is I don't want anyone,
pointing fingers.
Whether you are a fundamentalist or you're progressive, do not use the phrase, the Bible's very clear about that. Because the moment you do, I think that you've set yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I began to work on this project called The Bible I Thought I Knew. And I'm working through that. And
is this integrated with, or is this part of the
I think
whole,
it comes off of the one that you just bought
thing?
I think it comes off the one you just bought.
Okay.
So currently I've got this one's about 135 pages long, so it's a little bit shorter.
That's about right for a book.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to keep them short. The problem is the next one.
I like short books.
The next one becomes a little bit longer.
And
that
I'm excited about the...
that's the one I sent you just the introduction to.
Okay, yeah.
Did I have the outline with it?
Yeah.
Did you see how long that outline was?
Yeah, because I thought that was all the introduction, and then I got down to
part 5. Like, did you get down to like where I have part 5?
I mean, I didn't read
paragraph
through the
32.
Yeah, I didn't read through
chapter 32.
Yeah. It's
so
gonna be fun.
Anyway,
that'll be good. That'll be a tome.
I don't want it to be like a theological book per se. And so the way I've started writing it, let me see if I can pull it up, because again, I get to where I'm like, oh, that's really good.
Yeah. I just say I'm excited about the final version of the Walking on Common Ground, because I've read about half of the original transcript, or whatever you want to call that. I don't know what you call that, manuscript.
Yeah.
That you said to throw away because you changed it all. But I really liked it because it has a lot of like your journal entries and stuff from your.
That is still all in there.
I really liked that a lot.
There was just some linguistic problems.
Sure.
Like because I had used the journal and then reflected.
Yeah.
I had past and present tense mixed.
Yeah.
And I needed to fix that.
Sure.
And then also I do this thing where I would say it or that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fine if we're having a conversation, but when you're writing, sometimes what is it or that actually referring back to? And so I had to go back and kind of lay that out a little bit.
Yeah.
And also at one point, like I wrote something and it seemed like I was saying one thing because of my word order. And it was actually absolutely the opposite of what I was trying to say. Yeah. And so the first editor, she asked me, "Are you trying to say this?" And I was like, "Oh gosh, no."
It was very cool because it like made me want to go backpacking.
Hey, so I'm planning on a 2-week trip, leaving Monday after Easter if you want to go. You want to go on a 2-week trip with me?
That sounds really interesting, Jeff.
Was that your nice way of saying no? Would you want to do an overnighter with me?
I think that
I have enough gear that I can outfit you.
Oh, that would be fun, actually.
Yeah.
I think, but my wife would be so incredibly jealous. I think that I'd want to go, like, maybe we could do like family thing or something.
We could. What we could do is to get you guys sort of
He is the backpacker.
Okay.
Like she's
to get
really
you introduced to it, is we could as families go up to Big South Fork and tent camp, like set up a base camp. And then
backpack out from there.
Do some backpacking out, like even if it's just an overnight. And that those that didn't want to do overnight could stay at the base camp.
That sounds.
And everyone else could go out.
That sounds fun, actually.
Yeah.
That sounds really fun.
So
I'm not kidding. I'll talk to Chris about that.
Okay.
Ellis has said that he really wants to go backpacking also.
So
no,
that's good.
What do we got?
Right. So the other thing, just because we're talking about sharing the projects.
Yep.
So the other thing is, so after I started writing, because it's not finished. In fact, I had to go back and restart a few things. But when I started writing the Bible I Thought I Knew.
Yes.
Right. Okay. In that one, I share my own journey of what I just talked about, like this idea of going from fundamentalism to academic reductionism to what now I understand to be Midrash-like.
Okay.
Right. And I talk about how I went through that. And then I walk people through that. And we look at, but the reason I wrote that one was because I had been asked in the spring, how do I read the Bible? And so I began to actually think about how do I read the Bible? And I began to write these things down. And then I read The Evolution of God and how Jesus became God.
Yeah.
Those two books. And they're both well written and they're both very intelligent people. But where I differ is I don't think that just because we see an evolution of God or the evolution of Jesus going from backwater Jewish rabbi to the universal Christ, that somehow invalidates what I think is what we're seeing is an evolution of understanding of those things. But that just because the understanding of God evolves doesn't mean that God doesn't exist. Just because the understanding of Jesus evolves doesn't somehow make the stories of Jesus. In fact, I find it more intriguing and I find it more engaging that way. And so I began to talk about those things. And then I said, well, then I was like, well, what if I put together a 10-week Bible study on how we see sort of this evolution within the scriptures.
Mm-hmm.
And so I put together a 10-week study guide, and then I used that as an outline for this. But in that, I also talked about the responsibility that we have, because I talked about how like the language that's used to describe God is it's culturally influenced.
Yeah.
Right.
Are you going to talk about
doing this?
Are you going to talk about continuing revelation?
Yes.
Evolving revelation?
Yes.
Yeah, very good.
I do.
Yeah.
And that we have a responsibility today to consider what we know and reframe.
Uh-huh.
Right. And it doesn't somehow make us smarter. It just means that we have to adapt. Right. So I'm not like saying, oh, the ancient cultures were dumb. They were using what they had to understand. And now we have different understandings. Right.
So do you see this as a progression?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you see it as like do you see the continuing evolution of the perception of God, however you want to say it,
mm-hmm.
as an upward climb, or more of like a flat circle, if that makes sense, where we're describing it in different ways, but none are better than the other?
I think at the time, it's exactly what you needed. And that they were able to convey their understanding at the time with what they had. So I wouldn't put a value on it and say this one's better, but I would say that sometimes they become antiquated.
Okay, but
so like, for example, our understanding of how the universe works is different than it would have been when the author of Genesis is talking about the creation story.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But they're using the Enuma Elish.
Mm-hmm.
They're using all of these other creation stories from all these other different cultures around them, and they're just sort of reframing it. And like today, we understand that the Earth isn't flat, that it doesn't sit on a pedestal, that there's not this firmament that covers us, that holds the waters back, right? And then every now and then, God opens it up, and some water comes through.
Mm-hmm.
We have through physics and we have a different understanding of how the universe works.
Mm-hmm.
Which
is a difficulty, because every time the what
mm-hmm.
had a question
mm-hmm.
has had observation and science in particular,
mm-hmm.
that process has bumped up against religion.
Mm-hmm.
The religious explanation has failed in the what question,
because the religious explanation continues to try to attack.
I don't know that I would agree.
Okay, so they're set up in a way that, okay, how many times have you heard people say that you can't believe in evolution because the Bible's very clear about the 6-day creation?
So I understand that is something that people would say.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't had a lot of experience with that. I grew up with people who said that like God created evolution, and that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
But what I'm saying is,
mm-hmm.
the very fact of the evolutionary process being
mm-hmm.
developed
mm-hmm.
as a theory,
mm-hmm.
when it has, that was a new idea,
mm-hmm.
and it came up against the religious, any kind of religious
mm-hmm.
framework for
mm-hmm.
how humans existed. The religious framework failed in the what question.
It needed to change. It needed to adapt with new information that you get.
Yeah, that's what it says. But here's what I'm getting at.
Yep.
You've got the who, what, why, when, how questions.
Mm-hmm.
These are the questions.
Okay.
In my estimation,
mm-hmm.
the religious question,
mm-hmm.
the religious interpretation
mm-hmm.
of existence has retreated, has had to retreat over and over and over again until it now only exists within the why question. That is its domain now. Why are we here? Why do where is the meaning? Right?
Mm.
The what, the where,
mm-hmm.
who,
mm-hmm.
and how
mm-hmm. Which is what
religion
I think
has
in
lost
my
all
mind,
that ground, but it
in
used to
my
dominate
mind,
it.
I'm trying to synthesize that.
Okay.
Because I think that we have to look to physics and evolutionary biology to be able to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that led to the next work.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because I basically say that we have this responsibility to continue to try to figure out how we communicate God
Mm-hmm.
in a world that has gone beyond the language of the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we are constantly trying to defend things that we should not be even trying to defend anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like at some point you just have to say, I can't defend that.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do I retain and adapt and accept?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like, for example, one of the things I'm working on right now, I'm working out. Actually, I didn't sleep last night. I was up for like I slept for like 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am still, see, this is what happens to me. This is why I think I'm annoying to people. I'm still working through the Sam Harris book in my mind on free will.
Mm-hmm.
And if I accept predeterminism, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
How can I fit that in with what I believe now?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually starting to work that out. Because I think that it is disingenuous. I think it's not faithful to just dismiss what he has to say as he's wrong, because he's not. There's too much in what he says to just dismiss it. Right? There's too much in physics to just dismiss it. There's too much in geography, not geography, in what's it called? Geology, to just dismiss carbon dating, right? Like there's too much in evolutionary biology to just dismiss it. Now, I do think that the further you go back, you really have to always say, it seems to me, because, right? I mean, I'm still not convinced about the whole single cell thing. I think that takes just as much faith to say something like that than to say that there's something bigger. But that's just my opinion. And for some, that's an easier step of faith than to believe in God the way that God's been presented. And that's the caveat, I think. So with that being said, I think that the next logical progression is the next project I'm working on, which is called God as Energy. And that's the one that I shared with you, the outline. Because if I understand God as energy, that means, can I run through the outline real quick? Okay, so part 1, you have to talk about the evolution of God language and how the Bible talks about God and why it keeps changing. Paul and the Stoic influence. It would be chapter 2. Chapter 3, the Logos goes cosmic. Chapter 4, Justin Martyr and the seeds of the word. Chapter 5, modern voices in ancient conversations. And that's where I would introduce like Richard Rohr, Paul Tillich, Jordan Peterson, the transcendental properties of being, and why I think I can actually make the claim that they're all actually describing the same thing. And then the philosophical foundations, go to the Greeks again and talk about Socrates, Plato, Aristotle on what it means to be good. A little further into the transcendentals. Then you get to chapter 7 where you want to talk about Aquinas and how Aquinas tries this Christian integration at first. Then go back to the Stoic virtues, I think, because if you're going to talk about virtues as far as the transcendentals, you have to go back and talk about the Stoic virtues. But then I think by the time you get to part 3, you're talking about the scientific turn, what physics tell us about reality. And then by the time I get to chapter 10, I'm starting to suggest, what if God is energy? And then if God is that energy, is there a moral question? Like, how do we begin to develop morality from? The first is the what. So what if God is this, not Sky Daddy, right? What if it's actually the ground of being, like Tillich would talk about, right? What if there is some truth to that built within? Because if we're energy, then somehow built within us is these virtues, right? The beauty, justice, and truth that Jordan Peterson talks about, right? And then energy and flourishing. What does it mean to flourish, which we talked about 2 weeks ago in Sunday school? And then you get into part 4 where you talk about reimagining Christian
means
concepts.
I get a new car. That's what flourishing
that
is.
is not what that means. It's not the way I'm presenting
Yes, it is.
No.
Yep.
No, that's a very Western way of understanding flourishing. The incarnation as pattern recognition, the Spirit as ongoing principle. What happens then to prayer? How do you, what does prayer mean? What is salvation without transaction? Is there a better way to understand? How do we understand the cross? And then living in these questions. So what about Jesus? What about the Bible? What about other religions? What about life after death? The preferred and the not preferred, which is then, I'm borrowing that language more from Stoicism.
The downstairs.
Right? Then, no, I don't believe in that. Practical implications, right? How do you rethink worship? How do we rethink mission? How do we rethink flourishing? Again, going back to flourishing. How do we rethink certainty? Part 7, this is getting ridiculous, but how then can we have conversations with atheist friends, people that don't believe like us, people who have different religions, right? And that's where I have this chapter that I call Marcus and the question of meaning. Anybody want to guess who Marcus is? And then I didn't do a real good job of hiding that. The fundamental Christian who couldn't explain, and I'm going to share a story about something that also really bothered me. Word salad bothers me. The convincing argument that doesn't exist, what we're actually disagreeing about. And then part 8, if I really want to fully embrace this idea, what sermon might I preach? The question is, have I already preached it? And then the questions that would raise. And then the answers that I'm going to try, if I believe all of this, what am I trying to live into? And then I think it's important to say, well, what do you mean when you say God then? And are there, how do you live with open questions? And then I'll also offer some recommended reading, like I mentioned a few today. But then I also think that it's disingenuous if you don't address some common objections and responses to those. And then I might even have some discussion questions if anybody wants to do it as a book study. So
this will be a long one. That's going to be a long one.
It's going to be a long one. And I am holding out hope that I can have it done a year from now. We'll see. But I do know that right now I need a mental break because, like I said, I can't even right now talk about belief. I believe I have beliefs. But and then I want to talk about free will.
Yeah. Yeah, sure, of course.
So anyway, I talked a lot today. I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. It's good.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts? I'm going to let you take some shots at it to wrap us up.
Here's where I am right now. I have the same general outlook about free will as I do about God at this point, which is I don't believe in either one of them. And I live my life as if I do. And I don't know that that's really a choice, but I don't care. I can't live expecting to hold all of the correct perspectives in my mind right in front of my eyes at all times, so that when I do something, I'm thinking in my mind, yes, but I'm doing it because of this, because I believe this thing, and also, but not like that, like this, right? I can't hold all of those at the same time that I'm doing. And so
we're speaking.
I just live as if I'm stealing that from Jordan Peterson. That's what he has always said. I live my life as if I believe in God.
You don't have to. How many times have you said it?
Yeah.
So it's yours now.
It's mine.
Yep.
So, it's funny. We had some friends in months ago. When was it? It might have been a year ago now. Jeez, has it been that long? Anyway, friends in town from California, and he's Catholic, and we talk about that, and he knew that I was saying that I'm probably an atheist and whatever. We talked about it, and he's cool. And he came in the room in the morning in the living room, and I had worship music on. And he walked in. He was like, "What the hell, dude?" He's like, "This is hilarious music for an atheist." And I was like, "I like it.
Yeah,
I like worshiping. I like it. Like I want some real worship music.
Yeah,
And when I say real, I mean anything from the 90s and the early 2000s. That's the correct
like
type
David
of worship.
Crowder
Worship music. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Crowder.
Chris Tomlin.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
Rich Mullins.
Yeah. Back when I was a youth minister.
Yeah, absolutely. You would have been a youth minister for me.
Yeah. Probably.
That would have been, absolutely. Because you're 10 years older than me. That it would have been exactly the right time.
Yeah.
Some Michael W. Smith, some Stephen Curtis Chapman. It's good stuff, man.
Yeah. You did good with the first two. The other ones are a little too for me.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
And some Newsboys. Get some DC talk in there.
Do you remember Skillet?
Oh, yeah, I remember Skillet. I was not into it because I was not into heavy metal at the time.
Sure.
Yeah. But what's the other one? The POD?
I was just thinking about POD.
Yeah.
Yeah, they tried to do a crossover.
And then of course going back a little bit earlier than that was Petra.
Yeah.
You never got into them?
No. Remember, how about Stryper?
I don't know from Stryper.
The further back you go, I think they tried too hard to make everything rhyme in their lyrics.
Sure.
And eventually people stopped worrying about that.
You just always tell Christian music. Always.
Because it's not quite as good and it only has 4 chords.
There's something about it that you can always, even if it's not billing itself as Christian music, you turn it on, you go, oh no, this is Christian music.
Yeah.
It's Christian music industry.
Yeah, Matt Redman.
Weird. But anyway.
Okay, sorry.
So that's where that's like, I am very interested in reading this book.
Which one?
The one that all of them, but I mean the one that you're just talking about.
Yeah.
But you asked my thoughts. That's where I am at this point in my life. That's
where
I am.
What I would like is you to read them and then we can discuss it here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm hoping. So here's the thing, right? And this is the last thing I'll say about it, and then we'll go to the closing music. But I've been thinking several years ago, like 20 something years ago, I had an opportunity to. I was at a festival, and Rob Bell was there, and he wasn't even the keynote speaker. Like he hadn't become Rob Bell yet, right? And it was one of these deals where he was in a small tent, not on the main stage.
Yeah.
And you could go in there and like a certain time, they didn't even have chairs. You just sat in the grass.
Yeah.
And you listened to him. And someone asked him, when did you know that it was time for you to do a church plant? And his response I found very interesting, and I spent a lot of time thinking about it. He said, when I no longer cared whether or not it would be successful.
Sure.
Right? So it had to do more with the way I understood it had more to do with the project itself is more important than whether or not whether or not we have 10,000 people in worship, right? Whether or not we have a big building.
Sure.
What we're trying to do here is what's important.
Sure.
And so I've been writing on and off for since I was in college, and what I usually do is I'll write and then I'll throw it away, delete it, because I've always thought nobody wants to read that. It's not worth anything reading. What I'm doing right now, it is available on Amazon, and I want people to read it, not because I want to make money at it. I have a full-time job. But because I think that the message, what's being said in there, is something that we need to be talking about. And I'm just taking what others have, a conversation that others have already started, right? So like Peter Enns, and the sin of certainty. Peter Rollins and the difference between community and communion. Mm-hmm. The books I referenced earlier, The Evolution of God, how did Jesus become Christ, or how did Jesus become God? I think it was the title of the book. Like, I'm just taking those and I'm saying, I'm in my mind trying to put this all together and come up with some logical next steps. Mm. I want people to read it. And so I would hope that anyone that knows me, that is listening, that you take the time to find it on Amazon and read it. And then, like I said, if nothing else, when you're done with it, give it to somebody else.
No. Tell somebody, buy another copy for somebody else.
Yeah. Well, the money
you can be a commie pinko if you want to. I'm going to be your capitalist buddy.
I will say that the money,
getting you paid.
The money is going right back into the project, right? So the whole thing the book that you just bought, is the result of all of my research putting together a 90-minute presentation, a 90-minute event.
Yeah.
Which I think we'll be ready to have the event in January.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So
I think there's
some things that we're trying to do with AI to get it a little more engaging.
Mm-hmm.
And then
holograms. Is it going to be holograms?
No,
we got to have holograms. Holographic Tupac.
We're going to have James the Just, Paul of Tarsus, and Peter of Capernaum on video, sharing their opinions about stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Back from the dead.
Yeah. It'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
So, all right. Thank you for letting me do that.
Yeah, it's great.
All right. And if anybody has any things that they want to argue with me about, you can email me.
Yeah, you can argue with him. Keep your criticisms of me to yourself.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you for listening to Living on Common Ground. Please follow wherever you listen to your podcasts and share it with your friends. You can also find a link to our social in the description. The more people we have living on common ground, the better the world will be.